See, you know what's funny is I edit all these on my phone.
Oh my God.
iMovie.
I was going to ask you, which how you...
The power of iMovie and Video Shop. It's gotten me by so far, and you know.
Do I need my coffee as well?
Yeah, grab your coffee.
Can you?
Yes,
I'm attached.
What's going on, everybody? Sam Heine here, back with another episode of Street Talk. Hope everybody's doing okay out there today. Standing here with Tess Krebs today. She's the CEO and owner of McKree Properties, a company in town that specializes in restoring dilapidated and wilting structures around town and homes. And we're standing in front of, or behind, to the side a little bit, I guess you could say,
Yes.
of one of her more recent properties. Really beautiful job of laying some B-roll there for you. But Tess, I was telling you, this one's really interesting to me because I remember just in early February this year walking through this house, and it looked like it had been sitting empty for a number of years. It was kind of, It was looking a little bit gray. I think literally the color was gray of the paint on the outside, and I was just kind of amazed that it really needed some TLC. And I from what I had heard from the listing agent, I didn't know if anybody was going to snap it up and give the TLC it deserved. And so it's really amazing to see somebody turn it around like this.
Thank you.
But one question for you is, what made you walk through, and, what were you looking at that made you think, I can be the person that turns this one around?
First, I have to start with it's never an I, it's a we. I have a partner, and then we have a crew that works with us. So I don't ever feel like I'm alone.
Right.
I may look at a property by myself or with my agent or someone else and decide, ooh, I really love this house. But carrying forward, it's always this feeling like I've got these people behind me to help it happen.
Mm-hmm. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I love houses that have a mystery and a puzzle to them, and this house has it all, had it all. I mean, still has it. It's a wonderful story to tell when you come into the house, engaging in it now, finished. But when I looked at it, and it was surrounded by chain link fence, and just kind of like Sleeping Beauty, and all those mythical characters lived inside of this house, right? It's like, oh, I want to find out what's going on inside here, and so that's all it takes. I fell in love with the house. I fell in love with the challenge, and because I'm not alone, I knew that I'm up for the challenge. All I had to do was sell it to the rest of the crew.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, it's an epic house, and it's kind of sitting up. We're at 2 Hawthorn Hill is the address here, and it's in the Tyler Park neighborhood. And it just sits right up on the hill there. It really commands attention, and that's something that kind of got me out here initially to take a look at it. Do you know like the history behind the house? Because that's one thing that I was curious about walking through it.
Right.
Because it seems like whenever they built this big house in the early 1900s, they built it up here to command some sort of attention. It seems like it was a centerpiece.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't know the history, the ancient history or the original history of the house. I can tell when we did a lot of the demolition that it used to be a 4-room bungalow, and that what is now seems to be the rear door to the house was the main entrance to the house. But I know that in the 80s, some people began to add room for family. And so what is a very odd, when we first bought the house, there was like this turret on one side and then the main original house on the other side, and you couldn't get to the turret. So when you went up to the second floor in the main original house, you couldn't get to the turret, so you had to go back down and come around. So again, that was one of the puzzles that I really loved figuring out. I did like 5 different renderings on how to get from one side to the other side on the second floor.
Yeah.
So
It's a crazy, interesting layout in the house, and you were kind of
Right.
telling me a little bit about that upstairs.
Right.
But, what were some challenges that you ran into? Because I know every renovation has its own set of challenges and headaches, but
So there's two that pop into my head, and number one was like I was telling you, there was the original house, and then somewhere along the line, someone enclosed the porch, and then they dug a basement, and on top of that basement, they built what I'm calling the turret, which ended up being basically almost a third floor to the house, third or fourth floor to the house. And the challenge was how to bridge that gap. Well, I got it all figured out, drew it on the plans, we built it and everything, and then we take down the wall between where what is now the mezzanine, and realized that as you're standing on the main floor, that you're looking at the wall like this. Totally missed it, didn't understand. It was a total mess up. And it's like, what are we going to do? So I called in a friend of ours who's an architect, and we all stood there and said, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to wall it off. And so scratching a bunch of heads together, we figured out, and it's one of the most exciting places in the house right now, where you have like this very tall ceiling meeting in the common space with a lower level. And then so the mezzanine, you look down into this wonderful open space.
Yeah.
But initially it was just like, oops.
Yeah, right.
Oops.
Yeah, it adds a different kind of flavor to
It
the
does.
structure, because you walk
Yeah.
into a lot of houses and it's a predictable sort of flow, but you can't really predict the twists and turns of the house, but it's still at the same time it's a very it's an open kind of concept, and there's a lot of space and light in the house.
Well, one of the things that as we've been doing business for 13 years, renovated, this is not our 60th house, but it's close to it.
Nice.
And so we've done a lot of renovation and learned, and what was I going to say? I just totally forgot it. Oh, no. What I really like is the combination. Well, I love light.
Yeah.
So this house has kick-ass light.
Great light.
And then also we do a lot of really beautiful light fixtures, which this house, because of the level at which we're able to sell it, has some really awesome fixtures, beautiful fixtures. But also I'm learning, and people, as I engage with our buyers, people really want common space, and they also want private space. And then they want private common space. So this house has all of those elements. So there's downstairs, there's a large common room that you could define as a living room or a dining space or whatever you wanted to do with it. And then upstairs in the private area, we also have a common space where the kids and the family, the intimate group can get together in a common space. And then you have bedrooms segmented off. And so that's one of the things that's totally delicious about this house, is that it embraces public and private, and there's light just bouncing all around.
A good mesh of the two, the private and the public. That's a good point. I never really thought about it like that, but that's a good way to put it. And the light's the cherry on top.
Right.
But it's just, kind of thinking back again to how you bought it and how I looked at it, a number of months ago.
Right.
It's sort of like a blank canvas. I mean, it's like the ultimate art project. You're kind of going in and figuring out puzzles and figuring out how to structure everything to make it work efficiently, but then you also get to pick out the light fixtures and how you're going to redo the kitchen, and I bet that's a very fulfilling feeling.
It's extremely exciting, and if I didn't have to worry about numbers, I mean, it was just like,
you go
oh
nuts.
no, it's just so incredibly juicy and exciting. Houses like this.
Totally.
What
would be a couple of morsels of advice for the novice or the moderate remodeler in their own home? Because there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there with little projects. They're redoing their kitchen. They might bring in the help to help them do that. But what are a couple of things that you've learned along the way in your experience that to watch for, that might be a make or break moment to avoid, or how they could find a return on investment by doing one thing or against the other?
As I was thinking about, because you kind of prompted me a little bit with that question previous, I was thinking about what is it that I'd want to say. It's kind of twofold. It's like when you're thinking about what you want to do with your home and you're going to be staying in it, 5-10 years. I feel because 10 years from now, you're going to want to renovate the kitchen or renovate the bathroom if you're going to sell the house, because it's going to be outdated. That's something that I've learned. Things get outdated in about 10 years.
Right.
So if you're selling your house right now, And first thing is if you can make the money you need to make, don't renovate it, clean it up and stage it and sell it. Don't spend that time. That's number one. And then for me, if you are fixing it up to sell it, I would always get someone to help you. Find subcontractors that can help you do it instead of trying to do it yourself. I think that causes a lot of stress, unnecessary stress, and if you can reduce stress, reduce it.
A lot of pitfalls along the way too, I guess, doing it yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, we run into that. We run into this house. Who did that? Who did that to this house?
Right.
So, and I guess the biggest thing for me is that when you're dealing with a space, a property, a home, it's really that moment of getting kind of quiet and paying attention to what it is. And this is what I do. What it is that I feel that the house needs, and that if I'm living in the house, what I need. And so it becomes a conversation between you and the space. And so if you're staying in the home, it's like, what do I really need here? Do I need to make my kitchen bigger? And if that's what I need the most and I only have this much money, then spend your money making your kitchen bigger.
Right.
I'm thinking about my house.
Yeah.
I need a bigger kitchen in my house.
Yeah.
But, but what I really, or do I need to spend $5,000 asphalting my driveway? Because I really want that. So it's really like getting quiet and paying attention to yourself, the people that you're living with, and to the house itself. Because I firmly believe that houses talk.
Yeah.
And that you hang with them and they will tell you what they want.
Right. Tap into the flow of that specific house.
Right.
Every house is.
Right. And you and I were talking earlier about, did you think about wrecking this house? And yes, we did. Everyone said wreck the house. But, what we do in our company is we try to reclaim as much of the original and hold as much of the original as possible and let that house talk to us and tell us what it is we should do.
Yeah.
And I guess early on, this house said, don't wreck me.
Yeah, right.
Don't wreck me.
I'm not ready to go.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I just feel like houses have a soul and you got to listen to it.
Yeah, that's really cool, because whenever I was walking through with an investor friend, and that was kind of the conversation we had, was like, this might be easier to tear down and redo.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of thought and more creative problem solving that goes into doing what you did, working with the original structure.
Right.
But I think it's got to be more rewarding on the other side.
I mean, think about it. When you think about a tree that has a life, right? It's made out of organic substance. And, we are made out of organic substance. A house is made out of the energy of trees and all other kinds of organic substances, and the energy of the people that built it 100 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, and now. And each of those teams put energy into this house. And to me, if you can honor that and help it move into the future, help it be a really neat space for people moving into the future, it's a total win.
Yeah.
As opposed to like tearing it all down.
Right.
and starting over.
Yeah, you got to tap into it. And
yeah.
On another note, I'm sure the neighbors love you for redoing it, making it beautiful again, but also dinging on a nice little property valuation spike for everybody on the
Definitely,
strip. So
definitely.
That's always a good thing as well.
Yep.
As a byproduct.
Yep.
One thing in closing, what, and this is just something I like to ask everybody in their own perspectives, going in and out of different neighborhoods in town. But what are a couple of projects, developments, or even just neighborhoods in general in Louisville that you're kind of excited about? Maybe adding value to Louisville, or adding some buzz to Louisville, helping it grow a little bit in the right direction.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right. I thought about that as soon as I finished my last sentence, and that is basically we have a house now. We bought our first property in Portland, and I love that area.
Yeah.
Love it. And I drive through Old Louisville. I've for some reason never really resonated with Old Louisville, and then I drive through there to get to Portland, and it just opens up like it's a new space.
Yeah.
I know it's been there a really long time, and it's suffered a lot of challenge, starting with the flood and all of that. My family came from there originally, so it's just like very excited by that area, and kind of breathing that new life and honoring what it was, what it is and what it wants to be.
Yeah,
Very excited about
totally.
Portland.
There's a great energy down there.
It is.
I was walking through like it's interesting because driving down there, it's like the streets are lined with old mansions is what they really were. I mean,
Right.
they're just giant houses. There's a lot of money in Portland, and now they've been converted to slum houses a lot of times, but boarded up a lot of times. I was walking through a sixplex, but you walk outside and it's really there's nice trees, there's nice little vegetation. The structure of Portland's really nice. I just feel like it's destined for a comeback.
Yep.
So I like
Yep.
that you said that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Tess, I appreciate you coming on. This
You're
is
welcome.
a beautiful house.
Thank you very much.
2 Hawthorne Hill, everyone. It's listed now. I'll go ahead and I'll put the listing in the comments. So if you want to check it out, learn some more, or just look at the pictures of the end product, make sure and check that out. And good luck to you, Tess. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.